So let's kick this off. Hi to everyone who's joined already. Hopefully a few more people will join in soon. My name is Phil Nash, if you don't already know, and I'm a developer evangelist for Twilio. Twilio is a cloud communications platform that we are going to use today to create a video chat application. And to make it a little more interesting, we're going to do that using web components. We've had a little talk in the chat already about like web components and what we're going to use. Today I'll be focusing on the absolute, like the browser level web component stuff. Things built into the browsers that are actually live in Chrome today, and that's what I'll be using to develop in. Many of these things do not exist at all in other browsers, but there are polyfills for that, which I think is quite cool, which means you can just use what the browsers will be standardizing on within your applications now, and then polyfill it in for everything that needs it. So, just to start, we're actually going to move over here, and I want to just show you a quick little bit about Twilio Video, which is our kind of platform for building video-based applications on. And as you can see in the kind of demo that's running on screen right now, you should be able to build this kind of rich calling interface thing going on. And actually, if you can see on both the phone and the laptop there, we've got kind of a picture-in-picture version of this as well, which I'm hoping to kind of build out into a web component today, as I said. So firstly, to kick that off, I'm going to just build a straight kind of basic chat, basic video chat. None of this fancy stuff with drawing on the screen, as you're about to see. Just a straight video chat between myself and perhaps myself, maybe somebody else if we're lucky and do that in enough time. So I'm going to move over to my terminal, in which no, in fact I have a blank project right here. This is my video chat component project right here. And I'm going to kick it off with, I'm actually going to put this on a Ruby server. I'm very comfortable building stuff in Ruby because we need to do a couple of things. We need to serve ourselves a homepage, and we need to serve ourselves a token with which gets us access to the, we need a token which gets us access to the video service. Cool. So in my very empty project here, I'm just going to give myself a gem file and an app file. I'm going to make myself a public directory, which I may or may not need. I can't remember. I'm going to make myself a views directory, and I'm going to create myself a layout, and I'm going to create myself a index file, index.erb. Cool. And so back in our project, I'm going to open our gem file and just kick it off by installing myself a couple of gems, which is just going to make this easy to run a server with. So I'll be getting those gems from rubygems.org, which seems reasonable. And I'm going to use the gem Sinatra, which is a very simple server-based thing. If you've used Node, it's very much like Express. I think it probably inspired Express. And I'm also going to add in our Ruby library too. And then finally, I'm going to add something that Enviable, which is one of my gems, which is allowing us to, which is going to allow us to put some config into our application nice and easily. Config that you're not going to see. Because it's my config, so hopefully that's all right. Cool. So I've got that. I'm just going to install my gems. Victor, you use C#. You are talking with the right people then, because I believe both Marcus and Brent are very comfortable with C# as well. I myself am a Ruby developer, as you can see, but this is actually going to be a very short part of this, and we're going to get into the JavaScript fairly soon. Oops, I'm actually going to get myself one more config.ru file as well. that is the thing that's going to start my application. So I'm just going to require all the dependencies. And then we're going to we'll run require the app file. And then run the Sinatra application. But actually, whilst we're here, since we'll have enviable installed too, we're going to load up an env.yaml file, which we'll fill in later, and that's going to be in the development environment. So we should create that folder as well. Config, and create that env.yaml file as well. Nothing in there right now, but we will load that up later. Cool, so let's go to app RB. I'm just going to make sure this is working to start with. Yeah, all right, Brent. So requiring bundler only requires the bundler gem. Calling bundler.require then requires everything in that bundle. It makes sense when you think about it. You don't want bundler to automatically require everything just because it was required, or I don't think I want it to anyway. But for right now, I'm just gonna make sure we're all working, make sure everything has worked properly. Do a nice hello world, of course, not just hello. Oh, okay. Thanks, Dominic. That's interesting. Oh, hello. Hi, everyone. Sorry. Let me just run this. Oops. Make sure we've got our Sinatra server running up nicely on port 3000. Everyone's favorite port. I hope it is anyway. That's running. I'm going to go back over here, and should we get hello world? We do get hello world. That's brilliant. That's 8 minutes of coding and we got hello world. A little bit sad really in a way, but that's a nice kickoff, and we've got a nice solid thing to work with right now, which is good. So in that case, I'm just going to create myself a quick layout, video chat, and that's going to yield to my index.rb. I'm not going to get very smart with this. I'm just going to make a slightly bigger hello world for now. And so what that means is if we now just, instead of just returning text, we're going to render that with ERB, embedded Ruby, for those who don't know. We should get an H1, and now we have an actual proper page source now. Good stuff. So what that means is we can start to build our video chat application, and I'm going to do that. Firstly, I'm going to build the an endpoint to get hold of a token. Now, when we're going to build, when we build applications in the browser like this, we don't want to be giving away our credentials to our Twilio account, which we need, of course, to connect to the Twilio service, but we don't want to give them away. So what we can do instead is generate a token. In this case, it's a JSON Web Token, or JOT, as I believe it's called for short, which we'll be able to send off to Twilio as part of the library, and that will give us access to the service. So in order to create this token, oops. My screen stopped working. Hold on. Bear me 1 second. Yeah, something going on with my screen. So I'm just going to hide back to the big screen here a second and see where my dock has disappeared to. Bear me 1 second. Some slight technical difficulties here. Who have we got in the chat right now? We've got a few people here. Come and say hello if you are in chat. It's great for you to have joined us. We've got a come say hi. Like sitting on chat is Marcos and Brent who are moderating today, and also developer evangelists at Twilio. So do say hello to them. I gotta find out where my doc. There's my doc. Okay, don't know what was going on there. Cool. There's nothing like debugging your own setup when live on a webcast. Yeah, apparently my doc just won't be showing up today. Fair enough. All right. Well, whilst I've got this, whilst I'm just showing you myself right now, I'm going to use that opportunity to take my Twilio configuration and add that into my environment, env.yaml, so you can't see it. That's all good. And then, okay. That is true. I'm also not very good at languages. That's why I reach for Ruby all the time, but definitely not particularly good at French or German. Do give me a shout out in the chat if you're here. Like, say hi, say if you're a developer, that'd be great, and what you normally work with, as Marcus has been asking, and also kind of where you're from. That'd be cool to know as well. If I don't know who you are, it'd be great to know like where we're getting people in from to watch. Cool. Well, I've sorted myself out. So let's go back over here, and we're going to build our endpoint that's going to grab us a token. So we have required the Twilio library in using that bundler.require function right here after we loaded it into our gem file. And so we're going to use that to get ourselves an access token. And in that access token, this is where we add all those environment variables that I just added to my project without you seeing. They're all tucked away in env.yaml here, and they're called various things like Twilio account, SID. Then I also get myself a Twilio API key, which you can generate within your Twilio account, and a Twilio API secret also that generates alongside the API key. We're also going to add a kind of timeout for this token of 3,600 seconds. That's an hour, I believe. And with this token, we need to give it an identity. And this allows you to refer to people across the video chat network. So we'll pass this identity in as a URL parameter. And now we need to create ourselves a grant. This is the complicated part of the video stuff, and it's the boring stuff in a way. So I'm going to get it out of the way soon, as soon as I can. Really, we're going to get. So we create ourselves a conversations grant that's going to allow us access using this token to the conversations API. And we get ourselves a configuration profile SID, and this refers to an application within Twilio that basically groups all your users together. So people within this configuration profile can talk to each other via video chat, and if you have other configurations, then they won't be able to go across that. So we get that grant and we add the grant to the token. And then we're just going to set the content type to be JSON, as I said. And we'll return the token in that JSON. And as I said, this is a JSON web token, so it just responds to JWT. And then we're going to call to JSON on that hash that we're returning in order to return it. So if I've done that right, I should be able to restart the server. That started. that still works as we expect. And if I call down to hash token and I'll pass it an identity, then that's created me my token, which I can then use to authenticate with the Twilio video service. That's always pretty cool. All right, that's a good start. I'm just going to check out what's been going on in chat. Hello to both of 2 people in Australia and 1 in Madrid. Excellent. Wait, from Madrid, living in Dublin. All right, cool. And then a couple of people in Australia. That's also cool. What? So, now we've got some Denmark. It's fantastic to see people coming in from all over the world. And let me just. Yes. Hello, everyone. What we've got so far, what we've built so far, is just a simple server in Twilio, in Ruby. Sorry, this is using Sinatra, and it just on the homepage it's just saying "Hello World." That's nice and easy. Adam, sorry for getting in there. Are you coming to? Are you going to be at Bath Ruby on Friday, Adam? Because I am looking forward to that, and I hope you are. I hope you're going to be there too. We have a simple server at the moment in Ruby. One says "Hello World," and then the second bit that gets ourselves an access token for Twilio to use with the video service. And if we get that token, we send it an identity. We get back a nice JSON web token here, which we can use. That's excellent that you're going to be at Bath Ruby. I will see you there. Cool. So we should probably put some front end into this. Otherwise, this gets very boring very quickly. And to do so, I'm just going to include some JavaScript files. We have some JavaScript files to include. They are the Twilio video JavaScript files. And I'm just gonna do this everything in the index.erb for right now. That just makes it nice and easy. So these 2 JavaScript files bring in our kind of Twilio common JavaScript that works across all of our libraries, and then the conversations JavaScript, which is the one we're going to use today for creating video chat. And once we have those, we can actually write our own JavaScript to make the chat happen. So up here under Hello World, just to make sure that's still working, I'm going to add in a div for me, and I'm going to add in a div for me too. I'm going to just add me twice onto this for now. And so what we're going to do is we need to gather ourselves that token from the endpoint. That token. Let's just make sure this is working. So we have our divs, we have our scripts coming in, and we have our empty script tag. So we need to, let's write it down actually, get the token from the token endpoint. We're then going to use the token to authenticate the Twilio video conversations service, and then we're going to listen for incoming chat requests. Cool, that's what we need to do. So first, getting the token. I'm gonna, because we're in a nice new Chrome at the moment, I'm gonna use the Fetch API for this. Now Fetch is a new API in JavaScript that does away with the whole the old XML HTTP request. Basically, this means no more painful usage of AJAX calls. No more having to use a library to deal with it, because it's just a simple function here, and it just looks like this. You just call fetch, and because we're doing a GET request, that's the basics, and then we should actually there we go. Okay, we need to get the identity of a user. Cool. So let's just put an input up here. We can add an input and then a button which says start listening for calls. That's what we're going to do right now. So we're going to get an identity. We're going to get the token from the endpoint using the identity. Cool. So in this case, we'll actually get hold of our button. And again, we can use all those nice new browser things because we're using a nice normal, nice modern Chrome browser here. So if we query selector for a button, there's only one button on the page, so that's what we're going to get. And then we can listen for a click on that button. And we'll get an event. And then we're going to get the input. I'm just going to get that one by ID because I gave it an ID. Get element by ID, identity. And then we have our identity, which is the input.value. Cool. So with that, we can then fetch our token with that identity. And fetch returns a promise, which also makes things easier working with makes it easier than working with the old XML HTTP request, because rather than listening for odd events, which you had to do on that, we just wait for this to finish and then we get the data. And even better, the fetch API allows us to return another promise, data.json, which we can chain onto and get that data as an actual object. So let's just console.log that object for now. And hopefully we'll see there we've got our token again. I've been ignoring chat for a bit. How's it going over here? A couple of you from Denmark, good stuff. That's weird. You're being moderated for no reason. Sorry about that. Oh, because you're at ASP.NET. That's weird. I have not configured Nightbot particularly well. Sorry about that. I will maybe try and fix that in a minute, particularly because just writing ASP.NET shouldn't get you banned. I mean, I am normally a Ruby and JavaScript programmer, but that's not my personal feelings. I will sort Nightbot out about that soon. But let me just restart the server and make sure. I shouldn't need to restart, actually. That's just view stuff I've been doing. I should be able to start that, and now I have this input, which means I can write in fill, which is what I'm planning to do. And when I click that, it's going to make the call off to get my token, and then hopefully display it in the console. So there it is. Haha, brilliant. That worked nice and quickly. And as you can see, we've got this big, long JSON web token string. So I have my token ready to make calls. That's a good start. Everything's working so far. I'm quite pleased with that. Everything in the code is working, I guess. Things in Nightbot is maybe not working quite as well as I'd hoped it to. Let's see if I can actually get Nightbot to behave itself. We should be able to enter links. In fact, I want to be able to enter links. So I'm going to make sure that that's doing the trick correctly. That's also not right. Just bear me one moment. I do want to fix this for us all, because this is going to be awful if we can't post links. I actually want to see links. I want to hear. I want to see what's going on. So bear with me one second whilst I sort out Nightbot. It's over on this screen, which is why I'm looking at you. We'll get this guy sorted. Also, we are just, in the meantime, on the other side, I am absolutely, I don't know how to do this. I shouldn't try and debug this thing halfway through, really, should I? Spam protection. That's probably what I miss. Alright, here we go. I've disabled links, so you can post links in the chat again now. That is good. Good to hear. Cool. Cool, right, sorry about that. We are back on, and things should work. Somebody else try posting a link. Just nothing, obviously, now dodgy, but hopefully that should just work now. Let's get back, in that case, to our code. So this is what we've done so far. I just have a button which, when we click, it takes the value of an input and gets a token for that identity. The identity that we put into the input. And we logged it out. So we've got the token. Oops. That's what we're doing here, basically. So we get hold of our identity, we get the token for the identity, and now we need to use that token to authenticate to the Twilio conversation service. So instead of, well, let's log that object out again, just to make sure everything is continuing to work. And instead, and now we need to start using some of our Twilio bits. So we are going to create ourselves a access manager and a conversations client. So the access manager is the thing that's going to use our token and take the token and use it to authorize with the Twilio service. And we're going to add the token to that. So that's just the seemingly random string, the JSON web token that we have. And that is under .token on that object that we got back. And then we want to get a conversations client. And this is a Twilio.conversations client. And we give that the access manager. All the access stuff, I think, is now dealt with. Oh, God. I hope that's a good shockwave file. What's going on there? But it is working, at least. It is working. Very good to hear. I love usernames on various platforms. Clam Huggerin, I'm glad to hear you're back after seeing me in Copenhagen. I'm glad you enjoyed the talk. It was a wonderful time to. It was a great couple of days I had in Copenhagen there. I'm excited you've decided to join into this stream right now. Cool. So I'm just creating myself some Twilio objects that we're going to use to create a video chat. Let's log out our conversations client and make sure things are working. So here we are. This is what the object looks like. It's not a very pretty object, but we'll go through the bits that we actually need to use with it right here. We can explore it a little bit though if we wanted to. Temp1 is now our object, and so we can get the identity. That's Phil. So we have our identity. That's good. I can see there's a is listening function there, method. It's not listening. Sorry, it's a property. Okay, thanks for popping by, Victor, and Dominic as well. Do come back later if you get time. We'll have some web component stuff going on then. That'll be quite fun. Because I'm going to make this chat right now, and then I'm going to wrap it all up into a component, and see how we go with that. Cool. So this is my my conversations client here. And what we're going to do with the conversations client is we'll get it to listen for incoming connections. That returns a promise as well. It doesn't really have anything attached to it. But what happens is if we're listening for incoming connections, we can use this client. It will get invitation events, an invite event when we invite it to the conversation. And so when we get that, it's going to trigger this invite event. We're going to get the invite as the argument to that callback, and we can accept that invite, which again also returns a promise. We're getting quite deep in our nesting here, but it's actually, I think this is still understandable. The conversations client listens, and when it's ready listening, it can accept invitation invites as an event. And when it gets that, you can accept them. And when that's accepted happily, we get a conversation object. And so with that conversation object, I can actually get hold of my local media. That is my video and microphone. And we can attach that to our div, which is fill the first fill at the moment in this particular case. And that will just add a video element in there and we'll be able to see that. And we can also then use that conversation to listen for other participants to connect. So we have another event called Participant Connected, which triggers every time a participant joins the conversation. Participant, I've always found, is one of the hardest things to spell, and when typing out in front of people, particularly, particularly bad if you misspell the event name, because if you listen to an event that never gets triggered, you don't get any errors on that at all. So we do have participant connected in there. And when we get that participant, they're going to come with their media, and we can attach them to my second div, fill 2. Cool, so that actually should all work, as far as I'm aware. If I refresh this, I can start listening, and I've got my token, and what I'm going to do is just go into my Twilio portal, where we actually have a testing tool for this kind of thing. And I'm going to try and call myself and get a video up on screen right now, proving that we're on the right track, at least. So what I should be able to do is I'm listening as Phil here, and I can actually show you this. I'm going to invite Phil, and that should ask me to use the camera here. This is actually going to use my camera, which is right in front of me. And then we're connecting, sort of. We don't have any errors, but we don't seem to be particularly well connected either. We get some nice black screens there. Firefox seems happy with the whole thing so far. There's no errors here. This is interesting. This is going to get really disappointing if this... I was testing this video works at the same time earlier. It's going to get really sad if it doesn't connect up right now. Okay, so we've refreshed both pages. I'm going to put Phil in there. And we are listening. I'm going to invite Phil. That's working. Oops. Not entirely sure what's going on here, to be honest. I could try turning it off and on again. That's always a good idea, Adam. Thank you. Why not? I mean, I don't think that's going to make too much of a difference. Apparently that's just refreshing right now. I should be able to get to, like, my sharing options for the camera in this particular case. Let's do this one more time. Oops. So this side of it's working. Let's actually just use the built-in microphone instead, and the USB camera is correct. If you ever looked at the WebRTC internals page, it's terrifying because of all the stuff on it, but I'm not seeing the right answers coming through. I mean, this video thinks it's got control of my camera. That's fine. Well, that's kind of disappointing in a way. Let's do some logging. Why not? That's always a good way of dealing with things. I swear I was testing this earlier, but I bet it's something to do with the fact that I'm on camera and trying to use other cameras and other microphones. I bet it's something to do with that. That works. Let's log out that we're listening. We'll log our invite, and then we'll log our conversation. I mean, it should be the case that we should get hold of the local video stream easily enough. So we're listening, that's happening. Let's send off a call again. And we're getting both the invite and the conversation logged. So here's the conversation, and that should have my local media. Let's play with that. So in here, we should be able to maybe see the tracks that we've got. Tracks, okay. So actually within our local media we have a set of tracks, which is a good sign. Two of them, presumably one video, one audio. But that's not helping us. So if we look at that, in here we have an audio element which is hidden and a video element, and they have... Oh, I've done this, haven't I? Okay. So what I've done rather smartly, I think, is not played the videos, which is annoying. Query. So if I get all those video elements, and then I'm just gonna that's a node list, isn't it? Array.from. Cool, so now I have an array and I can map over those elements, those videos. I should be able to set attribute auto autoplay. Just set it to autoplay. This is an HTML attribute. It doesn't matter what you set it to. That didn't work. There we go. And let's do one more attempt at making a call. And this time it should actually play the videos. And then we just have wider black boxes. That is interesting. Oh no, it's added new ones. That should just be playing. Why is it not playing? Well, okay. I'm just going to dive into the... You know what, maybe I have done something wrong, you know. This thing is still sort of public beta right now, so it is absolutely possible that it's changing all the time. And I'm going to go and head to the documentation, like any good developer would, I hope. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Maybe I will... Okay, good point, Adam. Let's ngrok that and open it up. See if somebody else can have a crack. I will need to try and call into you, and that's still going to use my camera, but maybe it'll work. Bear me one moment. Well, if you can still see me, I'm assuming that the camera hasn't crashed. All right, 1 second. I'm just gonna try and send somebody a link to try and join in. So let's take that off. I do have 2 cameras, yeah. The other one is elsewhere. Bear me 1 second. Okay. I'm just going to try and send a link off to somebody else to see if they can join in. I'm just keeping that link private right now because otherwise everybody could jump onto the one video chat and that wouldn't work particularly well. Oh, what happened there? Ah. All right. Right, we're going to try and get this to work with Marcos. I'm chatting with him on the other side right now, and hopefully we can make this work. So I'm sending him a conversation. It has started my camera up, and hopefully he's seeing something on the other end that isn't black boxes. And if this all works, I will we'll be able to carry on. Okay, I can see Marcos. This is a good sign. He's he's waving. All right, I'm gonna throw that onto the screen as long as he doesn't mind. Looks pretty happy about the whole thing. So, but I can't see me yet. I assume you can't see me either, Marcos. Well, not in the video chat anyway. Alright, see, as we can see on screen now, there's Marcos, but not me. So it is something to do with my cameras, it seems. So maybe what I can do is... I'm going to try this again. I'm going to turn my camera off, end that conversation, and just try starting it up again. And choose a different... choose the FaceTime camera. That wasn't working before, but let's have a go. Send Marcus another invite. And there's me. Right, so it works. So my USB camera is just not working. Can you see me, Marcos? He can see me. All right, okay. I have no idea what's happening then. Brilliant. Let me see if I can do this again on mine then. Apparently Chrome is the one that's just not agreeing with me, so let's do this in localhost. I think Chrome has decided it doesn't know what it's doing with the cameras. It won't ask me for permission, which is annoying. Okay, we're in Firefox. I'm going to start listening. I'm going to close that one down. I'm going to get myself a token. I'm going to start listening for calls here. And then I'm going to end that conversation with Marcos. Bye, Marcos. And then I'm going to add myself back in and start that up, which should ask me for permission here. And then ask me for permission here. That's worked. And then video chat. Right, okay. Well, Chrome, you are making life difficult today. We can all see what's going on there, can't we? Yes, thank you very much, Chrome. This is going to get interesting after a while because the web component section of this absolutely needs Chrome to be working. We'll see how that goes. Thanks for your help there, Marcus. I'm very glad that we're actually working now, and I hadn't just written completely rubbish code. Let's get rid of these terrible logs then. Need that one. Cool. So that kind of gets our thing going. And actually what we can do, what I'd like to do, I think, is actually is be able to make the calls from this side of the site. So I want another button which is going to call the portal. Because I don't want to write the other end of this every single time. I'm actually just going to be using that portal in the as my other side of the call. That just makes life easy for me. So let's ID these just to make them easier to get hold of. Everything's kind of ground to a halt on my machine for a second. That's a little bit frustrating as well. Here we go. This is my call button. But we're not actually going to be listening right now. This is kind of no, we're going to do the whole thing in one button, aren't we? We're going to get the identity and make the call at the same time. So we're actually going to turn off our listening and we're going to start making calls from this side instead, so that we can turn it into an interesting kind of component, as I said. So in this case, rather than listening and doing all of this stuff, rather than listening, I'm just going to comment that out for now. Oops. Comment all of that out for now. And instead, we're going to use our conversations client to make a call. And we do that by conversations client. We should be able to check that out in our. It's a bit terrifying with me several times there. There we go. That's better. I'm just going to take a quick look at the conversations client object again, just to see what we've got in there to make calls with. So this time around, if I hit call the portal, it's actually not going to do anything. But it has, we do have a client on the window object, and there it is. And client, so we have invite to conversation as our function. We can see all the conversations it's having. It's quite interesting, kind of looking through the all of the properties, all of the functions available here. And so yeah, we've invite to conversation, and that's what we'll be using. Cool. So our conversations client, invite to conversation, and what we do here is we invite the other end. Normally gets set up with that token. So our portal in this case is called portal. Makes sense. That's the Twilio account portal. And when you invite that thing, then we get a very similar kind of response. We get a conversation object. And as you can imagine, we can do the same thing with our local media. Attach that to ourselves. And then listen for the connection as well. So actually we can pull that out into a function. Ooh, we can start making some functions here. That's a good idea. That's going to make things easier. So it's basically a conversation started callback, really, which receives a conversation object. And with that conversation object, we're going to take its local media and attach it to the first div. And we're going to wait for participants to connect. And when they do, take their media and attach it. So actually, let's rename that one as participant, because that makes it a little bit more obvious. We need to attach it to the participant, so that's this div here. And so that's our conversation started function, which we can now just use here. Cool. And so this means I should be able to go back to my browser, refresh this and this, and I'll call myself Phil, of course, and hopefully we can create ourselves a conversation. So that's a good sign. We're going to get the camera, and if I pop over here, we should receive that invitation. No, we have flash. We're not receiving the invitation. All right, let's build the other side of it. we're going to call it portal.erb, and we're going to use much the same code as it happens. This is our receiving end. Imagine this is kind of like a help or something like that, and our local media will actually be with a portal. And that'll be Phil, because that's me calling. We can actually listen to this stuff. We are the portal. No. We can use our conversation started function we're not going to invite people, we're going to listen, and when everything's slowing down a little bit on the machine here. Right, we don't want a conversation start here, the conversation is actually starting here. When we receive an invite, we can accept, and then the conversation is started. We don't want to invite people to the conversation, we're just listening on this side. Cool. So I just need to write another side of the server for this. So the portal is actually waiting for a button to be clicked this time. We don't want to do that. We're just going to use the identity portal. So we're just going to do that as soon as the page loads. Cool, so if I restart our server, which has gone over here right now, but let's bring that back on board. I'm going to restart the server and load myself up. The portal, good. And if we check the console, we should find we have a token, which is also good. And it means that if I refresh this and try to call the portal, it should call the other side. Should be calling this tab. It is calling this tab, and then we get 2 videos. Hooray. So using that test portal, oops, my query selectors. In my refactoring there and making ourselves a side to listen and a side to call, it's all fallen apart slightly. Because I've renamed some things, I imagine. There we go, I haven't got the hash. Apparently using all these video techniques and things like that is slowing things down. Hey Eddie, I'm not sure anybody's really calling for more fills. It's an interesting idea. But come on, computer. Let's get those videos off screen for now. That's probably what's eating up all the bandwidth for my machine, which is not allowing me to deselect text in my editor right now, which is somewhat annoying, as you can imagine. do you know what? I'm going to take myself a very quick break, and I'll be back. All right, I am back. Sorry about that. I see that my let's see if Sublime Text has returned to me. It has not. I'm just going to have to quit that. Hope it returns in just a minute. This is all good fun. All right. Let's open that up again. Hopefully this time it's actually going to work for me. And we want our views, our index, because we broke something here. We broke that part. I'm a little bit worried that like all the videos on screen is actually kind of overloading my my poor little MacBook Air here. And we might need to not do this whole... I'm going to get onto doing some web components, but it might not entirely work with the video chat kind of side of things. So maybe we'll just have to build a slightly simpler one. But let's see how this is working. That's worked. We've got 2 videos there. We have 2 videos there. All the calls in chat for more fills on screen hopefully has been looked after. Okay, that actually does seem to work. And Sublime Text still works, and everything is actually working. Well, this is quite good. I guess what I want really is just one more button to hang up. That would just to kill the conversation. Let's do that. As much as I love looking at several videos of myself all at the same time, I would like to be able to hang up as well. So that's going to be our call button, and then we're going to have a hang up button at the bottom. So instead of query selector at this point, we're going to use get element by ID, because we now have a call button. And that's what that one's going to be, call button. And then after the call button, we're actually going to get the hang up button. And that's going to be the hang up button. And we're going to listen to events on that one as well. Also listening for a click, of course. And when we get that click, we actually probably want a kind of... Now, I'm not a fan of global variables, but this is a bit of a hack at the moment, so I'm just going to use it. We're going to take the current conversation, and that'll start off null. And when we actually get a conversation, which will be... That's here, in fact. We can set our current conversation, our global variable, equal to that conversation. So our hang up button is going to disconnect that. And I actually do need to go and look at the documentation for that. This is all fairly new to most people, as it happens. So the Twilio video JavaScript documentation is worth a look over, even if you're doing it yourself. Here we are, Twilio.js. Oops, where is our actual documentation? Oh, that's Twilio client. That's not quite right. Docs API video, that's better. And we get the JavaScript API docs. Here they go. So I assume we'll have a conversation and we want to be able to cancel that conversation, hang it up, disconnect. There is the method. Good stuff. And so if we have a current conversation, then we're going to disconnect that conversation and turn current conversation to null again. Cool. And that means we should actually, on the conversation, we should listen for the disconnected event as well. As we see, we should get a bunch of events disconnected. And we can use that to clear up, as in this example. So conversation on disconnected. We're going to take the local media and detach it. Cool, so let's see if that all works as well. So let's refresh that page. My call. Should receive the call over here. And there we have all our videos. Just slows everything down to the end. And we should be able to hang those calls up. Or not. Maybe something's gone wrong. Conversation is not defined. That'll be it, because at this point I actually meant current conversation. We have more people joining in chat. Hello, Hazard Lampard. How are you doing? Let us know actually in chat if you want to, like where you are and if you're a developer and what you develop with. I'm just building a video chat at the moment, and later we're going to try and turn that into a web component. So this is the chat so far. We have it making a call and then receiving a call. And once we've done that, we should be able to hang those calls up again. And that didn't cause any issues, but also didn't hang the call up, so that's interesting. So we should have a current conversation object that, maybe we're not setting that at any point. Oops, no, I didn't actually call the method. There we go. Brackets matter. This is sometimes an issue when you like Ruby a lot and you don't necessarily like adding brackets to make method calls actually happen. This time it will disconnect. So Eddie's asking in chat about whether I enjoy Firefox more lately or if I always preferred it. And actually, I've always preferred Firefox since the very start. When I first, before Chrome existed, oddly enough. And I've always developed with it, and so it's always been very natural for me to develop with. Right now, it's actually because Chrome is causing me issues. So our hang up button works. We should just handle it on the other side. There we go. Chrome actually was causing me issues earlier, so I can tell you about those later when I work out actually what happened. So we can take our conversation on disconnected event there, and this time around our hang up button should be able to hang up both sides. So we're going to call the other side. I'm going to receive that call. We're going to see some videos. We see some more videos of me. And we have a hang up button that closes all that up again. Lovely. And it closes that side. And we should be able to call again. And there we go. Ha, cool. So we have a working start and stop call, which is nice. Coming in from Hong Kong. Great to have you on the stream, Hazard Lampard. Code Java. So we're working mainly with JavaScript right here because we're working in the browser, as you can see. Do you do much JavaScript at all, or is Java kind of the favorite? And who else likes Firefox? If you want to shout out for Firefox, I'm also quite interested in that because it genuinely is the browser that I use. I like the dev tools. I know there's a lot of very good dev tools in Chrome as well, but the ones I'm just used to using are the Firefox dev tools. So what have we done? Right now, I have this. I have two buttons. One that sends up a call and takes in an identity, so you can be whoever you want. The other one hangs up, and then we have all our Twilio JavaScript here, and then the stuff we need to do. So we have a conversation started method, which receives a conversation when it gets initiated, sets up our local media, and then waits for participants to connect. And then right down here, this is where we use our call button to start the call. We go and fetch a token using the identity that we gave it. And when we got that, we set ourselves up a conversation client and we send an invitation to the portal. Now, the portal is on this side and has much the same stuff, but instead it fetches itself a token with the identity of portal and then sits and listens for incoming connections. And when it gets an invitation, it also runs the conversation started function. Passing interest in Firefox. I'm not quite sure what that means. Firefox certainly still exists. But that's our thing right now. And what I want to do, I think now, is actually turn this into a web component. So let's talk a little bit about web components first. I've been reading some kind of good... they've gone away now. I had some good tutorials on web components, really, but as far as I'm aware right now, they are made up of four things. HTML templates, the shadow DOM, custom elements, and I'm going to forget the last one, aren't I? There is four things. Why can't I think of that? That's annoying. Anyway, well, let's. What we can do is start to build out. I think our. I can find this out. I'm sure I can. Templates are so cool. I think. So what I'm going to do is, because we're working in Firefox, because Chrome decided it didn't like me today, there is a web components polyfill, which makes this all work in all browsers. Or let's see which browsers it actually does. It's maintained by the webcomponents.org team, which is always good. Webcomponents.js, and that's it. Oh, HTML imports. There we go. That's the last thing I'd forgotten about. So I'm gonna include this hopefully from a CDN. That'd be easiest. Do I have a web components polyfill CDN? Saves me having to download it and stuff. No, apparently not. Oh no, we do on JS Deliver. Good stuff. All right, I'm going to add this to our page as well. Let's pop it in our layout. And this should make web components just work in Firefox. So if I refresh my page here, the thing I tend to look for is whether we have document.register element. And we do, because we added our polyfill. If I remove that, we will not have document.register element. It just doesn't exist. So cool, that is working for us. And the first thing we want to do is actually set ourselves up our component folder, I think, actually, which is going to be our Twilio video component. And that's just an HTML file. And actually, I think I need to... No, that's default. Within there, we can start adding some bits. I'm just going to check firstly that it's working by classic alert hello world. And then I'm going to take out index and import it. So we're doing a rel equals HTML imports. How do they work again? It's a rel of import. There we go. And an href. And if we refresh our chat, if that import's working, then we'll see an alert. There we go. So we are doing HTML imports already. Excellent. Oh, object.observe. Object.observe has disappeared, hasn't it, Adam? It's gone out the spec, out of all the specs. Nobody cares anymore about it. So I don't think it necessarily matters for web components, although I did see something about that down here. Oops. Yeah, mutation observers, but these have kind of disappeared these days, so I'm not sure that's necessarily the way people deal with it. So not been the way I've dealt with it, but that's not going to matter for this particular little component. So what it means is we now got this HTML import, and that is being imported, so we can start to move the things from our index HTML. Actually, that's the one we want to move it from, off into our component. So firstly, I think we want to create ourselves a template, which is going to include a bunch of stuff. That stuff is going to be what we've added as the HTML so far. So this is this bit. It doesn't look very pretty right now, but this is going to be our template. So I'm going to just put our video tag just there, and we'll get back to that later. So we're going to make a template, and we're going to give it an ID of Twilio video template. And just within here, this is just where we put all of our HTML. We can actually add in scoped styles to this as well, which is kind of useful. I don't exactly know what to add into this right now. One of the useful ones actually is to set something up for the host, which is the kind of surrounding element, that Twilio video element that we're going to use. And I just want that one to display block, because these elements come in as display inline when you create an element like this. I see. Yeah. Well, object dot observe was a sorry. Just looking at the chat, and Eddie's mentioned RxJS, and Dominic's back in asking about RxJS. Observables are a function of the functional reactive programming in RxJS, as far as I'm aware. Object.observe used to be simply a way of actually observing and listening to change events on JavaScript objects, which was thought to be useful until we all started doing virtual DOM stuff to update things rather than two-way bindings. But yeah, RxJS does still seem to hold on to that idea. But of course, an observable in functional reactive programming is, or indeed in reactive programming, is that kind of stream of events of changes and dealt with as a stream. So like RxJS and observables in that respect are still, are not exactly to do with web components. But it is an interesting idea. Cool. So what we're going to do now is set up another script tag in our component file, and that's where we can start to move across. We can actually include these scripts within our template as well. We might suggest if somebody wanted to use this template that they'd actually load in the Twilio JavaScript themselves, but I'm going to put that in there for now. And then equally, I'm just going to move this in here. Now this isn't done by any means. That's not how it all works. We actually have to set up our Twilio video object. It doesn't really do anything right now. But in order to create our custom element, we need to do a couple of bits. So actually I'm going to just hide those bits right now. So what we have at the moment, I haven't defined what the Twilio video object is just yet. So if I were to reload this page right now, then we'd have a rather confused browser, I think. It's just got this object here, which just doesn't mean anything to it, doesn't do anything. It's just a blank element. We could have written anything in there. So we actually need to register that element with the document so that the browser knows what to do with it. So we're going to start by getting our object registered. And we call it the tag name. And tag names in custom elements have to have a dash in. That's how they're distinguished from normal elements and from any future normal elements as well in HTML. Our custom elements will just have a dash. So if we register that, we can actually, it's not going to do much more to it, but it is going to mean that the document knows about that element now. But it doesn't know much about it. So we need to give it some attributes, which we're going to add a prototype for it. Whoa, prototype. And so let's create that prototype. It's easy in this particular case to create the prototype by taking the object, so by creating a prototype out of an HTML element prototype. So the HTML element is just a standard element in the browser, and we can take that prototype and start with it, which is always good. So Twilio video prototype. And now this really is a full-on element and will act and behave the same as others will. And in fact, as you can see, it is, I believe, in display block now. No, it won't be because we haven't added the template to it. So these custom elements have a set of lifecycle events that happen, and the most important one, I think, or the one we're going to use today, is the created callback. So when our Twilio video prototype, when it receives the created callback, this is where it can kind of set up a bunch of stuff for itself. For example, we can get hold of our template. That's the template we've added up here. And so, so we can get element by ID, the template. So our template is called Twilio video template. And we're going to clone that template because we might want to use it again, or another element, another custom element on the page might indeed want to use this template. So we use the import node template content. True, I believe. It probably makes a deep copy of something of it. And we're also going to use the shadow DOM, so we can hide all of this stuff away inside our Twilio video element. So we can create ourselves a shadow DOM using this.create shadow root. Now this create shadow root. This in this case is the element itself, the Twilio video element, and we're calling the create shadow root method on it. this is something that we've got from the HTML element prototype, because all HTML elements can have shadow DOMs in them. A shadow DOM, if you don't know, is that hidden bit of HTML that is used to create more complicated elements, things like the video or a date input, or even a password field. I was told recently. Let's just have a quick look at that one. It intrigued me to know that input type equals password actually has a shadow DOM to it. So let's just have a quick look. Might need to look at this in Chrome. Yeah, that doesn't want to tell me anything about it. But if we just go over here, take a quick look at this password field. And apparently not. Maybe it doesn't anymore. Do I have my settings turned on to show the shadow DOM? That's the important one. There we go. Show user agent shadow DOM. As you can see, we have a shadow root to this now, and we have an inner editor in this password field, which is quite cool. And so if I was to start typing in here, you can see within the inner editor, it has my password that I type in, which is actually, that really surprised me the other day to find out that this is being hidden away. It kind of makes sense in a way, but that is how our shadow DOM is working for the password field. Cool, so let's get rid of our input type password. We'll go back to our Twilio video. So we're going to put our template into that shadow root, which I think is quite cool. So we're going to take the shadow root and append normal DOM methods for this. Append child, that clone of the template that we made. And so this time, when we refresh, we get rid of that. We can go. Our Twilio video is there. Let's see if I can get. Well, since this is annoying. Let's take a look inside this. That settings turned off again. Just making sure this is all working. Let's do it in Chrome. We have an issue in line 24. Okay. The template, we haven't found the template. Okay. So, because our HTML import is not part of the actual document, we can't find the template in it. So I'm going to have a look and see how we get that out of there. Here we go. There's a nice article on imports. Cool. This is using it from within. So I'm just looking at how to get hold of a template that's within an import from also within the import. Which is interesting. Delivering web components, this seems like So in this case, they actually talk about just importing the template and not the whole thing itself. No, this is more like it. So as you see, here's an example defining an HTML element. We've got our template here. Import doc is the okay, document.currentscript.owner document. Interesting. And that is the sort of thing we can call get element by id and query element on. Cool. So in that case, I will. So we get the owner document from it. Cool. So in that case, I'm just going to log that out just to make sure that's a thing. But if it is, we should be able to use it. Actually, we might still want the document for that. The important thing is that we're getting hold of this template. So this time we get the template, even it says hello, which is interesting. And what we have is our Twilio video stuff. So this is in the shadow root, the inner editor of our input type text. So this is our Twilio video element. Now we have a shadow DOM, which we're allowed to open and look at because we've turned that on. And inside that we have our style block and our inputs and the divs and button from our template. So that has worked out nicely. So when you need to do when you need to import things from the current template, you need to use this current script and owner document. That's actually something I just learned today. I hadn't put this all into an HTML import before, but I thought I'd have a go at it. That's cool. So then we have our template, and it says hello. So we've added our shadow root, which is kind of cool. I see Hazard Lampard there is asking about IDs for JavaScript, HTML, and CSS and Windows. I'm not a Windows user myself personally, but I do know, and I do use Sublime Text, and I know very well that Sublime Text works in Windows as well. So I would probably use that, but that's just because I'm used to it. Cool. So let's get back to our web component. So what we've done so far is we've imported some HTML, which is right here, which is nice. We've set up our custom element, which allows us to write this HTML, and we've registered the custom element here. And then we've added a template to that custom element as part of its shadow DOM when its created callback is invoked. And now what we need to do, I think, is hook up the rest of the code to it, which is all this stuff. So we can probably start work here in this created callback section still. So I'm going to get hold of a bunch of variables to just save within this elements object. So we're going to grab our shadow root. So rather than looking within the document now, we have to look within our shadow document within the application, and we can do so. But the shadow root is still just a document, so you can call the same things on it. So our button was called call, and we can actually get the hang up button too. Hang up, and we get a couple of other things. We're going to get this dot fill, which is actually our document, our div with called fill, and we're actually going to get this participant, the person joining the call, as well. All of these are nicely ID'd right now, which is good. And one of the benefits of like Shadow DOM and encapsulation of a component like this is that these IDs won't matter. They don't get leaked outside of the object, outside of the element, so we can just use them happily and then call stuff like this. So we want to then, obviously, once we've got the call button, we want to add the event listener to it, such that, and so we'll need not just the call button, but this, the identity input. What do we call that? It's just called identity. How about that? So when that's clicked, we're going to do all the things we did before, which was get hold of the identity. Here we go, yeah, this stuff. We'll get the identity and start fetching the token. Fetch the token, create a conversation, and invite conversation. And then we also we can add one of the, so we can add our conversation started function to the prototype as well. So where's our conversation started function here? Okay. We have a conversation started, and that's this function here. Oops, there's more of it, because there's the disconnect bit as well. And it also means that we can add that not as a global variable anymore, but this current conversation can now actually be scoped to the object itself, which is nice. Yeah. So we're going to add the local media. We're going to get the... so this is a point where we probably want to bind that to the event. Right, so our conversation client, when we receive a response, we are going to bind the object back to this conversation started function. I think we're going to need to do that. And that way we can use this properly here as well. Because what we want to do is grab hold of the actual elements. So we're not searching within the shadow document because we can't do that. We need to hand this the actual objects. So this dot fill in this case, and then this is going to be this dot participant. And that's what we need to do there. And the last thing is doing the hang up button as well. So this was the call button. Oops. Yeah, which we'll do. Event listener. just going to comment that back out. And so what we should have here now is when we create the element itself, it's going to save a bunch of stuff to its own object, including the call button, the identity, which we actually need to use here. So we can't go searching around the document because these things don't exist in the document anymore because we put them in the shadow document. Cool. I'm actually going to see if this works. I feel oddly confident about the code that's here because I am not so confident about the actual of Chrome working. But let's see if it does anything. Okay, we haven't got a value of undefined, which is the identity. Okay. So we have that does exist, but we're claiming the identity input doesn't exist in that callback. Let's see if that's the case. It is not. It is not there at all. We don't have this. It's bad binding. Okay. What we could actually do in that case is use a fat arrow syntax, which is new JavaScript 2015, sorry, which keeps the function bound to its own object. Good. All right. Let's do that back here as well. This makes sense. It's always impossible to talk about this, of course. We have a bind of this, which also doesn't exist. Okay, I feel like I'm going to have some trouble with this particular callback as well. I'm just going to do a lexical scope for that, I think. Let's save the value of this from this event, and we're just going to bind this event onto that. This. Impossible to talk about it. So, if I hit that and hit call. Ow. Of course. That all has tried to do some work, and I think the problem is, well, wait, hold on, we should have the portal over here, which is asking to be called. That's a good sign. And stuff's happening. Of course, stuff's not happening because it's Chrome and it's being a pain, but it allowed us to get through that that part of it. So we can reload this in Firefox now. And if we inspect, we just have our Twilio video object, which isn't doing anything. We should expect to see the DOM for that because we have our web component library, a polyfill installed, but still nothing's coming up. So template is nothing. And this is probably to do with the same thing that we were dealing with before. So these things aren't working particularly well cross-platform right now, are they? Which is rather a shame. Especially because Chrome is messing about with us, and that would have been more useful to see in Chrome. And now the polyfill obviously doesn't quite do the work that we want it to, as maybe we do not have current script, for example. Let's see what we do have control of. Firstly, is this getting run? It should be getting run. and I'm going to log out document.current script and see if that's really a thing in Firefox. Wow, it's certainly something. Okay, that is a thing. Nice. Quite the thing, in fact. But I'm assuming that doesn't then have an owner document. Is that going to come out as undefined? Nope, it is a document. Ah, okay, interesting. So actually, no, what we're having trouble with is template is null on line 9 of something. So we have an owner document. So we have that import doc. And maybe we just don't have this template. Right, we don't have the template there. So our import doc get element by ID is not working for us. All right, let's see what we can do with import documents. See whether I can have a play with this and find that template, because we're going to need the template. I was hoping to kind of look inside it, but get elements by tag name template. Oh, we have that. That's a thing. Nope, no, that is length 0. Okay. But if I was to look at script, for example, there is one. And that's going to be this element. Okay, I bet. Web components, template. It's a bit of a shame that that Firefox doesn't seem to want that to work. Let's see what the documentation says. Maybe we have to HTML5 shim it or something, which is kind of interesting. We can create a template element and then ask for it, perhaps. Let's give that a try. We actually want to do it on the import doc create element template, and then we still didn't get hold of anything. Gonna get this template out of here somehow. What can we do? All. We even have, okay, this doesn't seem to be the import anymore, but that's interesting. We have a script, a link, body, 2 style elements. Something just doesn't believe that the template exists. Any suggestions on this would be great to hear in chat. But this all works fine in Chrome, and then we can't use the template in Firefox. Again, maybe this is something that actually I can shim early on. Doesn't find things. We can try and get all of the elements out of it, but TypeScript link. The link here is, what's the href on this? Social widgets. That seems unlikely. It's not the thing I'm looking for. The body script link. This is the link I thought I was looking for. So we have our right. More in this. So that's the link we're talking about. We got our H1 is our hello world, we've got our Twilio video. So this import doc here is the owner document. I wonder if I can look at current script and see what happens to that. What's this thing? Yeah. Which has a base 64. It's not base 64 encoded, is it? It's an encoded version of JavaScript here, which just runs. Always good to see if we can use HTML templates in Firefox. Nope, nope. Why is it asking about Thunderbird? That's very annoying. Okay. In that case, do I mean imports? Works in Chrome but not in Firefox. No plans. So Firefox HTML import polyfill should be the thing that already works, but maybe we need to read into how it works. So it does supposedly import in Firefox. Indicates in the current version, which is fine. That's what we have. Now maybe we need to do this then. Do all of our stuff within web components ready listener. That doesn't even seem. That doesn't seem right. Alright, here's some issues. Good stuff. There we go. Document.current script does not work as intended. In the polyfill we use underscore current script. Okay. Should have read the documentation, as always. So we just do the underscore on current script. We can drop those annoying logs. Go back to Firefox. Refresh this page. And now see our shadow DOM? Now we can see our DOM. Ha! Good stuff. In fact, it's probably just normal DOM because this is a polyfill, but all the same, we have this working now. And let's actually see if this does work. I'm going to make that call. Oh, hang on. Let's try again. Just going to refresh that. Get Chrome off because it thinks it's fill. We want Firefox to be fill right now. Okay. Something broke. We have a token. We just don't have anything else happening. Oh, Twilio is not defined. I got a reference error. So if I'm just going to move these out of there for right now. So hopefully Twilio will in fact be defined. Okay, cool. We've got it asking for access to the microphone and camera. We should get the invite on the other side. And then we have video as part of our Twilio video object. I'm quite pleased with that. There we go, there's the whole thing. So we have our custom element. We had to take those scripts out of the custom element. Perhaps that's another issue with the using of the polyfill. But we have one video there. Has something else gone wrong? We did get another issue with Twilio not being defined. I only have one video. Let's hang that up and see if that works. That's worked. I'm just going to clear all of this because we want to get rid of that last error there. Okay, so that's a few logs that we need to get rid of. I'm just going to call in. I get the call on this side. Get 2 videos there. I get 1 video on this side. I bet that is something I've done wrong. Alright, so we were looking for element by ID participant, and then we want to eventually add this participant. So this is no longer this at this point, is it? Damn JavaScript and this, and do just another kind of lexical closure just to tidy this up for now, because that is in fact that. So let's hang this up. I'm very happy that the hang up button works beautifully on both sides. And then I'm going to set up my call. Make that allowed. And this time around I do have 2 because it wasn't correctly talking about the right object. So there we go. More of me on screen. I hope that's good. But I think it's quite exciting in terms of... I know there's been a little bit of messing about that we've had to do in terms of the web components working in Firefox as well as they would have done in Chrome if Chrome was actually doing the right job with the video stuff. And like I say, I'm sure it's something to do with the fact that I'm broadcasting on this using my video and then Chrome not wanting to get hold of that. But if we take a quick look over what we've done here, we've created ourselves a template of HTML that is inert until it's needed to be used. Within that template we have some scoped styles that in this case simply set the outer element, the Twilio video element, as a display block. Then down here we create ourselves a prototype for our new element based on the initial HTML element, and then when the object is created, we get that template, we clone it and set it as the child of the shadow root of the element itself. so we can't reach inside it. We grab a few of the buttons and things from it, the call button, the identity input, and our hang up button, and then our two spaces where videos are added. And then when our call button is clicked, we grab our identity, get ourselves a token from the server, and then with that token, create ourselves an access manager and a conversations client, and invite the portal, which is our other page, to the conversation. Also, on our Hangout button, when that's clicked, then if there is a current conversation currently running, disconnect it and set it to null. And finally, our conversation started function sets the current conversation to that conversation that it gets, adds the local media, and waits for participants to join or for the connection to be disconnected. And then we can create our custom element by registering the Twilio video element with this prototype that we just created. And then in this side, all we have to do that, all we have to do now is import the HTML and then use that function. I think that's actually quite magical, because that can be then moved and used elsewhere. One thing I was interested in this is if you wanted to use it as a as some sort of plug-in kind of component, you might want to tell it where to get the token from. And I'm pretty sure we can use attributes on our custom elements within the code for it. So let's custom elements attributes, because I want to be able to set a custom attribute on this custom element and then use that to say, what I want to do is say, maybe it's the token path. I want to say right now is token, that's where it is right now, but it could be somewhere else. And let's see if we can do that. So let's look for attributes. So you can get callbacks when an attribute is changed. That's true. But we're not looking for things to have been changed just yet. These attribute, data attribute. Well, I'm pretty sure. How do we get hold of an attribute? Let's look back at this attribute change thing. Okay. I'm not sure this is the most useful page right now. Custom HTML elements on the treehouse block, that might help. Treehouse is pretty useful with this kind of stuff. Once it loads, seems my internet is maybe grinding a little bit to a halt. Alright, cool. So we're creating our custom HTML element. We've done this bit. What we need to do, what we're looking for, we can define a property. Maybe that's what we want. No, that's probably not right. That's more like a value. It's a property on an input. Extending existing custom element callback methods. So to look again for attribute, we do get the attribute changed value. data, we could use a data attribute, I guess. So wait, so we can call, we've got the object created. That's what we got this created callback for. We should be able to inspect let's set it to the window so we can have a look at it again. Twilio video. It's this, because that's what it is. That's the element itself. And let's see if we can just get attributes on it, because I've set that token attribute to it now. That's our object. We can get attribute token path, and it gives me /token. Cool. So I should actually, in that case, be able to change this out. Oops. To this dot get attribute token path, and that will allow us to set the token to something else. So right now on the element, I've inspected it. If I inspect it, I should see that my Twilio video has a token path of /token, so everything should still work as before. And there we go, we get the invite back through that side. Everything works as before. Let's hang that up. And this time, I should be able to just change the token path to just to blah, which would be wrong. And so this actually should just blow up. If I go and try and call, let's look at the console, and it's going to try and fetch something that doesn't exist. That is not working. It's also kind of hidden the error as well, which is not great. Oh, there we go. We're seeing gets to blah not working. Good stuff. But if I went to change the app to blah, then and restart that server, then if we refresh that page and try and make the call using the token from blah, it's going to work. So now we can set a custom token path on our custom element, which makes it a lot more reusable. I think that's kind of cool. Yes, we are on Philception. Sorry, sorry you have to see my face so much in this chat. I've never. I kind of like to do this occasionally when I'm on stage giving this kind of talk at a conference, and I get to put my face on a big screen, which I always find amusing. But in this case, you just get lots of my faces, which is, I don't know, maybe that's better. Who knows? So have we any further suggestions of what to do with our what to do with this? Tell you what, I might. What might be best is actually just tidy up a little bit of what the our component looks like, because it's kind of ugly right now. Aside from the fact that there's several of my faces involved in it, and what I'd rather do is actually. I'm just going to set it up so it looks a bit neater for the videos. Oops, so I'm just going to wrap them up and give that a nice ID to work with as well. I know IDs aren't the most hot things to use in CSS these days, but since this is all very much encapsulated within the element itself, it's really not an issue. It's up to me to use how I want it to be used. So our surrounding div there is going to be display. Display block as position is going to be just relative. which allows me to then, and I'm going to make it 400 pixels wide, but it allows me to set things within it much nicer. 4:3, I don't want that really, do I? I want more to be a widescreen thing. What's a wide... Anybody know what the widescreen ratio is? Well, let's look that up, why not? And also, every time I type ratio, I will type ration. I see, 16:9, not 4 squared by 3 squared. Okay. What? Yes, okay. So, not 400 by 300, but if we use 16... So if we make it 400 wide, this is me being bad at maths. I can't think of what I need to do. That's the wrong way up, isn't it? Okay, 225, cool. Got it right in the end. So that's going to make a nice widescreen image there. But then we can take the fill video and position it absolute top of 0. So this one is going to fill the whole fill that whole 400 by 225, top, bottom, left, and right. And let's just see if that's working. Not in Chrome, of course, because that's not working in Chrome. So we have some space at least here. Ah, thanks, Adam. Yeah, I got there in the end. Let's see what this video is doing. Alright, it has not behaved so far. Oh no, it's this side. Still not behaved. Oh no, that's good. It just means our... because we've positioned it absolutely, the other one has sat up on top of it. No, it doesn't. But the video inside has to have a... The video inside is going to need to be some sort of max width of, just a width of 100% really, isn't it? Of its container. And the height should just work. Let's try again. I'm going to just close that Chrome because that's just not working for me. And we need to answer the invitation, or I've broken it. Probably not broken it though. Breaking this side of it. Let's try again. Cool. Why aren't we getting the invite through? Oh, it's because it's the portal is trying to call off to blah, which it shouldn't be. Sorry, the portal's trying to call off to token, which it won't like. So actually, we just change that to blah for now. Will actually, in fact, work. How annoying. So I'm going to call, that's going to make that invite. I'm going to get the invite on the other side this time, because we can actually get hold of our token. Back in the video chat side of things, we have a properly sized video. I think that is in 4:3, not widescreen, so we'll just do 400 by 300. That makes more sense, probably. So that video is working. And then I'm saying that's me, so actually I should do this for the portal side. I think I've got it participant here, haven't I? That should actually be the larger size because it's who I'm calling. I don't need to see me in large, even though they're all going to look like me anyway. So in that case, the fill div can be positioned absolute as well, but I'm going to make it the width. It's only like 25%, and then position it down at the bottom, 5% from the bottom and 5% from the right. Actually, you need to do the same to make sure the video doesn't just go all the way out. And let's hang that. The hang up button's disappeared, so I'll just refresh instead. What's quite nice is because we handle the disconnect. No, it doesn't work, does it? So we're refreshing this now. The hang up button's down there, as you can see. So hopefully that will stay in sight this time. I'm going to make the call, accept the invitation, and our video I is undefined. That's new. What did I change? Have I added an I? That's an absolutely new error for us today there. Let's see if I remains defined this time. Yeah. Okay, that worked. So, do we get a nice picture-in-picture this time? Not quite. We can see our hang up button. Where is our second video? The fill. Okay, so it's hiding beneath because it's so it's going to be down there in the corner. That's what I was after. But because of the stacking order, it's disappeared. So to make that work, we can just change the stacking order, and we'll get a little picture-in-picture version of this. So our portal's reloaded, our video chat's reloading. This would be quite a nice little way to wrap up, I think, if we get... I'm going to put in my name, call the portal, accept that, accept the invitation. And there we go. That is a nice little video widget there, which allows you to add your name, your identity to call within the project. And then make the call off. And when you get that back, you're going to have it in a nice little picture-in-picture. So that the little one at the bottom, and this really is even more Philception, I think, because there's fills in fills now. But that is me and my local stream at the bottom. That is the remote stream, which in this case is still me. And then we can hang up because we have a little button down here, and we can just start another call up again, which I'm quite excited about all of that. We got over some issues with web components, but in the end, we've actually, over the course of today, we've created ourselves a custom element which makes calls over the Twilio video network. You can give a token path, a custom token path to it as well, in case you are putting this elsewhere on your server, although it has a default of /token. We've added some styles which only work for the only work within that custom element, are scoped to that element. We have this template, and so we're using HTML templates in order to add in inert HTML and add that into a shadow DOM, which we then and then with that custom element, we've added other kind of custom properties too, in order to eventually register our Twilio video element. And if this was all tidied up a bit better, then other users could just use Twilio-video as an element in their HTML pages. Whew, all right. I mean, I will push that up to GitHub. It's not the most tidiest of things, but I feel like that's quite a good view on the rest, on what we've created today. And if you want to go and have a look through it, that'd be great. And obviously this can go out with the... I'll try and publish this video to YouTube as well, in case somebody wants to catch up on it. So I hope you... I hope everybody who has kind of joined in and been a part of this enjoyed the stream today. Do let me know. Either give me a shout on in chat right now, or follow me on Twitter. That's I popped that into the chat room there. And also, like I said, I'll put this up on GitHub by the end of the day, somewhere. So yeah, like... I mean, do you, we have a few minutes before I was planning to get off, but if there's any questions or anything that you have about like web components or Twilio video, then I'd love to try and answer some right now. Or again, like throw me questions on Twitter. I will put this up on GitHub, open issues up there. And hopefully eventually I will write this up into a blog post that we can actually... it'll be much more straightforward to understand. I'm glad you kind of gone on this journey with me to find this out today. I'm not seeing too much chat appear in terms of questions, so maybe I will just wrap it up right now. But thank you for joining me and streaming with me today. I'll be back again. Maybe this time next week. If not, then Marcos, who was in chat earlier, will probably be streaming at this time next week instead. Other than that, I think Brent, who's also in chat earlier, is streaming later. So keep an eye out for that. And oh, there's a question from Adam. Can you record streams of Twilio video? So, not on the not on the server side just yet. So currently Twilio video only deals with peer-to-peer WebRTC video and doesn't pass things via a server. So we don't have recording for video right now. You can, I mean, actually, there are ways to record things in the browser, but that's not your question. So sadly, not right now. But I mean, I'd hope that's something that would come along in the future. Although, please, obviously, don't quote me. That's up to the product teams to decide. Just throw out any other questions at all, of course. But yeah, I mean, for me right now, like this Twilio video is very good at this kind of ability to have a one-on-one chat with somebody else, or maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 4 people. In terms of kind of like getting a customer maybe involved in talking with somebody in support or sales or something like that, or putting or connecting kind of 2 users together. But it's not particularly it's WebRTC and running very I don't want to say vanilla as such, because there's a lot of work that the team put in, but because the connection itself, the WebRTC connection itself is kind of vanilla, we're not doing anything with in terms of recording and things like that yet. But it could well be in the future. Who knows? Cool. All right. I am going to say goodbye for now. Thank you again for joining me on the stream. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter, and hope to see you again another time.